rock and roll!
Well, judging from the carving on your desk, it looks like his name is Ozzy.
Yes, and apparently he rules.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
So Empire Magazine put out a short interview teaser before the main story comes out this in a few days. Their March issue, which is going to feature Mandalorian and Grogu. And the title is Mandalorian and Grogu Relaunches the Galaxy. And one of the things that Dave Filoni says in this is we're in a different era now. When you read the article, you realize just how much Kathleen Kennedy connived in the background. Was there pestering people, was there doing things. And, I got turned on to this article because Star Wars Theory, who was really upset about a podcast interview that Leslie Headland sat in for, talking about had they gotten another season of The Acolyte. They weren't going to. But let's talk a little bit about what this is. She's not there anymore. And I think that the fact that the trailer's actually doing quite well, 10 million views, the Pixar trailer did better, but I think the Pixar trailer is something that when you've got little kids, they're probably going to want to see that before they see anything else. It's just, those are stories that, if they're done right, are true family stories. Pixar lost their way, but I don't think that they're going to go back to the woke shit. And because all of Disney was infected with it. And now that we have a different era, you're starting to get a feeling that woke is gone. But I want to talk a little bit more about Kennedy. When you watched stuff that she didn't have anything to do with, be it the last season of Clone Wars, the first two seasons of Mandalorian and Grogu, she was very happy to get the accolades from that without having to lift a finger. And she realized that she was being overshadowed. And then John brought Mark Hamill in to do, Luke Skywalker in The Rescue. And, you're looking at her. She saw this and thought, oh my God, I'm being overshadowed. Now, I've said this before. I think the woman was involved in John Lasseter getting booted out of Pixar the way he did because I think she was afraid he was going to take her job. Now, if you guys remember, and Grace Randolph backed Craig Johnson up on this, there was a story out there that there was a huge argument in early June, late May of 2018. And it was a conference call between Lucasfilm Britain, Lucasfilm California, and what happened was Bob Iger had John Lasseter and Kevin Feige listening in. Why? Well, he saw how badly The Last Jedi stumbled, and it did. If you like it, you should be put in a straitjacket with a Thorazine drip in a rubber room. You see how poorly than the Soilo movie was received. I think, and I know this is going to come out someday, this is me speculating, that Kathleen Kennedy was already being looked at to get launched. And I think Iger wanted the advice of his far more successful, studio presidents on what to do, and he let them listen in, and it was a food fight. From what I heard, it was a food fight. And, this is where I get the feeling Kennedy found out he was listening in. She knew she couldn't go after Feige, but she could go after John Lasseter. And I think she did, and I think she was one of the people that helped put it out there that he was being a bad boy, that he was doing bad things behind the scenes. And this is where I think this is also when Iger really thought, I'm going to have to get rid of her somehow. She's going to have to leave. But this is a bigger thing than just Mando and Grogu. This new era, let's talk more.
I've been basking in it for the last 30 minutes. My God, I feel like a seafront village after the Vikings have left.
What an odd combination of odors. Smells like a fish died and all the other fish sent flowers.
See Denitech closing? 17 and an 8. Come Monday, I bet it's 16 still sitting there.
How you figure?
Well, they went public at 23 with one product, plaque removing mouthwash. You know, you rinse, you get this glob of plaque you gotta spit out. I mean, maybe it'll be big, but I said that no one ever got rich overestimating what the American public wants to taste.
Maybe.
So, yesterday again, Theory jumped on the anger train with Leslie Headland doing a podcast. And the thing that he glommed onto was, she said, had we gotten a second season? I think I'm paraphrasing, but that's about it. They didn't get a second season. They were never going to get a second season. The reason why Star Wars is in such a shitty place is because of her and people like her, Rian Johnson, Kathleen Kennedy, Pablo Hidalgo, etc. Right? This is a new era. And, Dave Filoni said something about dreaming about The Force Awakens and dreaming about the sequel to Return of the Jedi. And what's interesting to me is that he compared Mandalorian and Grogu to The Force Awakens. So there's something there in the subtext I can't quite get into, but it is a beginning of a new era. And with the new CEO coming in, you can bet your sweet Bippy he wants everything that he touches to turn to gold. And, Josh D'Amaro is a Disney lifer, right? And he wants to move on from this utter miserable failure that these awfuls and their pet men, Pablo and Ryan, were part of, right? So, we know that Jon Favreau was the one that actually thought up The Mandalorian, right? And, we've been told that he's kind of the shadow boss at Lucasfilm, and apparently there's a shadow boss now at Marvel overseeing Feige, right? Why? Because the last few Marvel offerings have stunk up the joint, right? And really, Pixar has bounced back from the grotesqueness of wokeism, I think. And what's it called? Hoppers? Looks like it's going to do quite well. And it looks like it's going to, kind of redeem Pixar. Now we've got Mando and Grogu. We've got the first real photograph or what Rhoda the Hutt is going to look like. Rhoda is voiced by Jeremy Allen White from the TV show The Bear. He also played Bruce Springsteen in that recent crappy bio movie that we don't watch here because Bruce Springsteen sucks. Totally sucks. But Jeremy Allen White is likely someone that Jon Favreau picked up on because Jon Favreau is a foodie at heart. He made that movie Chef. It was really good. He also hosted a dinner conversation reality TV show. And Carrie Fisher was one of the guests, and she was hilarious. She basically took over the entire table. It was funny. But this is a new era. This is Kathleen Kennedy free filmmaking at Lucasfilm. And the fact that the Black Pills were lying about the trailer being a failure, it's gotten 10 million views. Like I said, the only trailer that beat it is Hopper. And that's a kid's cartoon, right? But it was the #1 trailer for a while, for at least first week it was out. So the fact that these people are screaming failure is more of a reflection on them than the reflection of where the show could go and where the movie could go. I would say that Kathleen Kennedy is probably the one putting out Disney's worried about it, blah, 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 because she's still probably connected to people like Pablo Hidalgo and her internet hitmen, and they would go and try to sabotage it if they could for her, right? If I can't have it, no one can have it. So that's where I think that bullshit about the trailer being a failure comes from, okay? And I didn't feel put out by it. I thought the part where Mando goes and says he's looking for a hut, and the guy says, "I'm closed for the day, sorry," and closes up on him. That was funny. That's kind of George Lucas kind of humor there too. But I kind of wanted you guys to look at what Filoni said, and the thing that sticks out at me is he was thinking about The Force Awakens, and I'm looking at it going, and how he says it is full of subtext. To me, it just looks like it's a replacement, that he's talking about replacing The Force Awakens, which, hey, is a good start, right? Anyway, I wanted to put this out there. If I remember, I will put a link to the article in the chat and in the messages so you guys can read it. And you guys have a good Friday. See you around the galaxy.
Ready, everybody?
All set.
Here we go again.